If you were going to gather forces for an invasion, this is precisely how you would do it. 350,000 soldiers, 20,000 tanks, 2,450 warplanes, and 460 military helicopters are massing in the northern Saudi Arabia for a military exercise that is being called Northern Thunder. According to the actual official announcement, forces are being contributed by Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, Bahrain, Sudan, Kuwait, Morocco, Pakistan, Oman, Qatar, and Malaysia, and several other nations. This exercise will reportedly last for 18 days, and during that time, the airspace over northern Saudi Arabia will be closed to air traffic. This will be the largest military exercise in the history of the region, and it comes amid rumors that Saudi Arabia and Turkey are preparing for a massive ground invasion of Syria. Like I said, if you were going to gather forces for an invasion, this is precisely how you would do it. Governments never come out and publicly admit that forces are moving into position for an invasion ahead of time. So military exercises are a common excuse that gets used for this sort of thing. If these exercises are actually being used as an exercise to mass forces near the northern Saudi border, then we should expect an invasion to begin within the next couple of weeks. If it happens, we should expect to see the Saudi coalition storm through western Iraq and into Syria from the south, and it is likely that Turkey will come in from the north. The goal would be to take out the Assad regime before Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah could react. For the past couple of years, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and their allies have been funding the Sunni insurgency in Syria, and they were counting on these insurgents to be able to take down the Assad regime by themselves. The goal would be to take out the Assad regime before Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah could react. For the past couple of years, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and their allies have been funding the Sunni insurgency in Syria, and they were counting on these insurgents to be able to take down the Assad regime by themselves. You see, the truth is that ISIS was never supposed to lose in Syria. Saudi Arabia and her allies have been funneling massive amounts of money to ISIS, and hundreds of millions of dollars of ISIS oil has been shipped into Turkey, where it is sold to the rest of the world. The major Sunni nations wanted ISIS and their other Sunni insurgent groups to take down Assad in the aftermath. Saudi Arabia and her allies intended to transform Syria into a full-blown Sunni nation. But then Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah stepped forward to assist the Assad regime. Russia air support completely turned the tide of the war, and now the Sunni insurgents are on the brink of losing. Aleppo was once the largest city in Syria, and Sunni insurgents have controlled it since 2012. But now relentless Russian airstrikes have made it possible for Syrian, Iranian, and Hezbollah ground forces to surround the city, and it is about to fall back into the hands of the Syrian government. If this happens, the war will essentially be over. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and their allies have invested massive amounts of time, money, and effort into overthrowing Assad, and they aren't about to walk away now. If the war was to end right at this moment, a weakened Assad regime would remain in power, and Iran and Hezbollah would be the dominant powers in the country for years to come. And once Assad died, it would be certain that Iran and Hezbollah would attempt to transform Syria into a full-blown Shiite nation. This is something that Saudi Arabia and Turkey want to avoid at all costs. So they are actually considering what was once absolutely unthinkable, a massive ground invasion of Syria. But if Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and their allies go in, they run the risk of a full-blown war with Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah. Just consider how serious this is. Okay, let's sum this up. If Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and their allies are going to conduct an invasion of Syria, the most likely time for this to happen will be by the end of this month during these military exercises. If we can get to March 1st and no invasion has happened yet, perhaps we can breathe a little sigh of relief. But if it does happen and the Russians and the Iranians decide to shoot back, it really could be the start of World War III. Now, we've been saying this on this channel for the last few years, that World War III was going to start in 2015 or 2016. If you have not been paying attention up until now, you need to start, because this really could literally change everything. This could really be the start of World War III. Stop being distracted. Pay attention to what's going on in the Middle East, because believe it or not, what happens over there will affect us over here in the United States as well. We'll keep an eye on this. Thanks for watching.